In what was not a surprise to anyone who is paying attention, the end of abortion rights nationally in this country has not led to saving more babies. It's actually led to the opposite, according to a new study published in the medical journal JAMA Pediatrics. Infant mortality in the United States, that is the number of babies that die, has actually increased in the 2 years following the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I thought they were trying to save the babies. And wasn't that the whole point? Turns out, no, no, they didn't save the babies. Um, so here are the numbers: 247 additional infant deaths occurred in the 1.5 years after Dobbs, which amounted to a 7% increase. That is a significant number of dead babies. Over 80% of those deaths, 204, were actually due to congenital anomalies, an increase of 10% according to that study. So that's just the national rates, right? Rates in the states with abortion bans is actually much higher, which is not surprising. Now, the national numbers identified the cause of some of these deaths as being birth defects and abnormalities. Some 80%, again, as I mentioned, of those new infant deaths are from those particular issues. But understand that this illustrates the reasons women get the vast majority of abortions. It's because of those issues, right? It's not because, you know, oh, they just, they're bored or whatever and they want to go get an abortion. No, that's not what happens. Okay. Um, the fact is that they get these abortions because the children will not survive in the first place. All right. Now, getting to the states with the abortion bans, similar study conducted earlier this year on infant mortality in Texas found infant mortality rose almost 13% after the state enacted a total abortion ban, with a 23% increase in deaths due to congenital anomalies. Wow. Again, unsurprising. Dr. Allison Gemmel of Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, who conducted the study on Texas's infant mortality increase, said this: prior to these abortion bans, people had the option to terminate if the fetus was found to have a severe congenital anomaly. We're talking about organs being outside the body and other things that are very severe and, this is key, not compatible with life. Okay, this is not, again, about saving lives here. These are not able to be saved. Doesn't matter, though. She said this: those babies would die shortly after birth. So understand that there is nothing pro life about forcing a woman to carry a baby to term if it's not going to survive. We know for a fact that that baby is not going to live after birth. Why the hell are you forcing a woman to carry it and to give birth to it if we have the ability to do an abortion? Why would you not do it? Seems like it's more of a punishment on the woman and puts her life in danger. And that is the big problem, okay? That is the huge problem. And now the study also found that the significant increase in births with congenital abnormalities occurred within the first 3 months of the Dobbs decision, with an additional spike 8 months after the SCOTUS ruling. But by the end of the year, those rates had stabilized, which researchers believe may have been caused by a reduction in pregnancies since the end of Roe. So that's the other part of this, right? The researchers believe that the rise in infant mortality occurred for couples who were already pregnant when the Dobbs decision came down, or who didn't know they were pregnant. And since then, pregnancies overall have decreased. Gee, I wonder why. And yet you got all these weirdos out there like Elon frickin' Musk complaining about population collapse, right? Oh, do you know that the biggest problem is people not having babies? That's why we have to ban abortions. Or we could make this country a better place for people to actually want to have families in. Make it so that everybody's got health care and jobs, could, an income that they can actually survive and create a family on and not have to work in a dystopian hellscape filled with massive, hurricanes and things like that, and there were wildfires everywhere because of climate change. But that must be crazy talk coming from this lefty weirdo on the internet talking about climate change. And yes, how fear for the future, has made it so that some people just don't want to have families because they don't want to bring a child into what could be a dystopian nightmare world. But if you're rich, you don't have to worry about the dystopian nightmare world because you can hide in your bunker. It's kind of the problem. Or fly off to Mars. Where the rest of us have to actually deal with this world. Okay? So that's the issue, right? But it turns out, again, people are being more careful not to get pregnant in the first place. Okay? And even though they're doing that, you still have more babies that ended up dying due to defects that they would have ended up being aborted for anyway. And so, great job. And what's worse, though, is that women, again, fully formed, mainly cisgendered women, have died due to complications of pregnancies that an abortion would have fixed. Again, those children were not going to live anyway. The woman needed an abortion because there was a complication with the pregnancy, going to kill her as well. And in some cases, it did because of these bans. So, more dead babies, more dead women. Where's your pro-life stance now? What is pro-life about any of this? Where's your pro-family stance? I'll tell you where it is. It never existed. It was fake. Okay? It was made up. This was never about protecting life. This was never about promoting family. Again, if we really wanted to promote families in this country, we would be a hell of a lot better. Okay? We would have a hell of a lot better policies that would actually help families instead of billionaires. That's it. No, what it is about, really, it's about control. It's also about shaming women for sex, for having sex. Okay? And it's also about keeping certain people in poverty because children are expensive and there's no support systems anymore because those continuously get shredded. And it's even kind of about white supremacy when you think about it. Forcing white women through abortion bans, who are a majority in this country, okay, to have more babies so that white people can stay the majority. And that's really part of what kicked this whole thing up into gear, right? You have, and you've had Republicans that have slipped on this and talked about, well, you can't, rebuild your population with somebody else's babies. Steve King, who had that stuff, those kind of comments from, like I said, Elon Musk. They're talking about great replacement, the need to, to have more children, have more families, have more babies, but only if they're white babies, basically. This, again, yes, it's either one or a combination of those things that is actually driving this so-called pro-life movement. But again, I'll tell you what it's not about: being pro-life. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.